Freeman, thank you so much for joining us. Really pleased to have you here. You have a really remarkable background. You were at one of China's largest automakers, Geely, for nearly 6 years, and then supervised their acquisition of Volvo, which was one of the most exciting deals in the industry and has been a real success since. Yep. And you were really one of Geely's most executives, and yet you've chosen to strike out on your own and work in a startup. Tell us why you made that decision, and what was it about the EV landscape that you found to be so attractive that you would leave Geely?
Well, because I know 5G is coming. We need to do something differently, right? But I think after working for a Fortune 500 American company, Fortune 500 European company, and Fortune 500 Chinese company, and I was thinking probably I should do something by myself, doing something pretty much from scratch, from zero. It would be much more challenge and much more exciting to me. And so I decided earlier 2015 that I should start a new tech company focused on automotive. And obviously the electric vehicle was in the very early stage in 2015. If you want to start something new, you want to do something in a very new industry, not something has been there for 100 years, right?
Established competitors. It's astonishing to me how quickly this particular new industry has moved and developed. Your company is what, about a year old? Is that right? When did you launch?
The company was established in early 2015. Yeah. We started deliver vehicle about a year ago.
A year ago.
September 28, 2018.
Right.
It took us about 46 months before we delivered the first car to our customer. And so the company, so far about 4-5 years.
That's pretty fast, though, to go from zero to. So you've delivered how many cars?
So far, we delivered over 15,000 cars on the road. Right. It is not that fast, actually, because we hope we can do even faster because we are doing something completely new. Yeah. On the other hand, our user and our customer was expecting they can always getting a latest version of WM motors. So we have about 3,000 users placed order earlier 2018, even without seeing anything from us. Wow. So we can understand they was anxious to get our vehicle, and then that's why we tell our team we need to be fast. Yeah. With the good quality work, of course.
Give us a sense of the competitive landscape right now, because there are hundreds, really, of companies in China that are trying to make electric vehicles, and you're one of a number of real standouts. But help us to understand how many players there are and who you're up against.
Well, yes. Interestingly, this is not my first time to get into this kind of situation. When I returning from US, the Chinese just opened up their passenger car market globally. And then you have almost every single global giants come to China. Right. And then you have about, I don't know, at that time, people saying about 300 different kind of stop focus on the engine car. That was about 15 years ago. And then the competition is fierce. And then turned out that some of the global competitor has been successful here. Right. And then very few of the Chinese local quite successful, like Geely, Great Wall, and BYD, and most of them die, and then most of them hanging there for a while and then die. I think this is the second time in the electric vehicle sector. People, if you don't understand what happened past in the passenger car sector, you will quite surprised. But as a matter of fact, the startup for electric vehicle, the number of startup of electric vehicle actually is much less than when the 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when the engine passenger car started. On the other hand, we are doing something very differently. A lot of people only looking at us as a transportation tool provider, a vehicle itself. This vehicle was quite different because the power source was totally different. So you spend a lot of time, you have to develop a lot of new technology on that. But on the other hand, we believe it is also a smart mobility terminal we strongly believe 5G can play a key role on that. And thirdly, we are also doing something our friends in the State Grid, China State Grid, was calling it's a mobility power bank, because it is a battery, a power bank running on the road, helping the grid to balance their high and low. So there's so many new technology in these three areas, and then we're trying to do a product delivered to our customer. It's totally different new. I don't see any established car company had any advantage in these three areas.
I see. That's really interesting. Now, you mentioned something to me just a moment ago that I was really struck with, that you're the only new electric vehicle that enables not only being charged by the grid, but also distributing power back into the grid as well. And why is that important?
Oh, exactly. We announced with the big corporation, with the state-owned State Grid China. It's a technology we developed called V2G, vehicle to grid. If you're looking the grid companies, not only in China, globally, they're always struggling with how much they're going to invest and how to balance the peak season and the low season every day. And you don't do the peak because it's going to waste a lot of your money, but you don't do the low because it means people cannot get electricity the way they need it. In their mindset, which is exactly to what we were thinking 2 years ago when we started the project. If you have millions WM motor vehicle on the road, it will naturally helping them to balance. You know, when we need the power, we can take it from the grid. When the grid needed the power, we can use the vehicle, feed back the electricity back to the grid with the mechanism to motivate the user willing to do so.
And so does that help bring prices down in some way for consumers?
Definitely. I think it's not only dramatically reduce the cost using the electric vehicle, helping the grid company to reduce the capital investment significantly, but also that if you drive more, there might be a chance you make some money out of that.
Wow, that's kind of a cool model.
Yes, exactly. So it is not only a transportation tool. It is again, it is electric vehicle. And then it is a smart terminal. It is also a power bank, helping the user have a different way to have a better experience, but also there's a mechanism help you to motivate.
And tell us how 5G is a factor in all that.
We're so excited on that. We're working on this project about 2 years ago. We hope we can become one of the first technology startup company can launch the 5G car on the road. You know, the 4G is like you're driving on the high-speed interstate highway, and then 2G it's like you're driving a country road. But 5G is like driving an airplane. You know, people talking about speed, people talking about if you're using the mobile phone, PC, computer, you have a better user experience. But remember, this only improve your user experience. The 5G application in the car is dead, and it's a dead. And like leave, it is safety issues.
Right.
So because when you do a 5G car, you want to use the 5G technology to improve the autonomy drive. If you don't have 5G, the car it's not safe. Autonomy drive. So it's a dead and leave issues. It is safety issues. It's not only improve the user experience. So that's why I think the 5G application in other industry, other product is fine. It's make you feel better. But in our industry, it is make you more safe, make you survive if you really want to go to these autonomy drive vehicles. If you don't have 5G, you just cannot make it.
And does it make it easier for you to, have upgrades for the software of the?
Oh, definitely. When you're doing the smart vehicle, what we are working on, it's always struggling. You know, where you're going to put this computing power, in the local or in the cloud. And then you need a strong connection between them. You know, obviously the 5G provide a better speed, hundreds times faster, a much lower delay, probably 100 times better. The delay will make the experience of the autonomy drive very different, safety issue, right? And then the bandwidth is much better. So those features 5G can provide will make the autonomy drive vehicle, will make the we call the smart cockpit in a safer way and much more better customer experience.
Tell us a little bit about the model that you're offering right now. It's the X5, right? And where is it positioned in kind of between, you know, I think people generally recognize that Tesla is at the high end of the price point. Right. You're somewhere in between. What are you offering at what price point?
Well, our starting price is about $30,000. I don't want to compare WM Motor with Tesla, although we are probably the only one in China, we're relatively similar. We are the only electric vehicle startup had own factories. Right. You know, as you know, Tesla has put a lot of effort building factories in China. A lot of people, when they start the electric vehicle company, they don't believe it's important, but looking at what Tesla is doing, which more or less similarly to our strategy, you know, I will build our own factory, and own factory not only helping the quality of the product, actually, if it's helping us to reduce the cost in a much faster way, and that's why we can offer $30,000 as our starting price for our product. Pretty much a vehicle similar as the Volkswagen T-Rack. We call it A+, but typically if you're not from this industry, you don't really know what's going on, right? It's what kind of vehicle it is. In that size vehicle, $30,000, I think we are the only one offering. We are not going the luxury sector because we believe an electric vehicle in the luxury sector is very difficult to survive by the volume they have. So we are going into the largest sector in the whole electric vehicle market, which is the size-wise is exactly the size we're offering. Price-wise, exactly the price we're offering, $30,000 up in that sector.
So do you see Tesla then as being in that luxury sector, and to that extent, I mean, how much do you see them as a competitor with you?
Well, if they continue going down to market, we're going to become a head-to-head competition. At this moment, not yet. I understand their strategy in the US. When you start a company, you need to do a luxury brand, a halo car to attract the people's eyeballs, and then you start doing the Model 3 and Model Y, which is Model Y probably the same sector we are in right now.
I see.
But my company strategy, we skip in that marketing tool. We believe the Model S, Model X was the marketing cost, right, to make everyone knows. But in China, like a Xiaomi, like a Huawei, they actually go directly to the mass market, the largest market sector. And later on, might consider a more expensive product. And but in China, you don't need to spend billions dollars to do a Model X and Model X like a Tesla, and then eventually Tesla will go to Model 3, Model Y, which is exactly the market we are competing, which will make you survive and make you very profitable.
Do we have questions for Freeman? Anyone? I think our mic wranglers are here, if you look for them. While we look for questions, talk to me a little bit about subsidies, because these have really accelerated the early development of this industry. The government has been very aggressive in trying to support electric vehicles. Now they're saying they're phasing these out. How much of an impact will that have in the industry in general, and you in particular?
First of all, we are one of the very few companies welcome this reduction of the subsidy, because in the past 4 or 5 years, a lot of Chinese users buying the electric vehicle simply because of the subsidy, not the product and service. Right. And then on the other hand, 2019 is a very different year. Yeah. If you look, the subsidy was reduced much more than what we thought. On the other hand, the ICE vehicle, the internal combustion engine car, the Euro 5 upgrading Euro 6, so make the whole market very, very different and difficult to predict. And then if you don't have the Euro 5 upgrading Euro 6 issue, we will see that most of people will, interested in electric vehicle, will probably go to the company with the product like WM Motor and some of our competitions focus on product. But this year was totally different to predict. Right. There's so many things going on at the same time. You have the subsidy reduction. But again, we are welcome. We believe before end of 2020, the subsidy for electric vehicle will go to zero, completely gone.
Before the end of 2020?
Exactly.
Wow. So right now, I think last year electric vehicles were something like 1.2 million. Is that right?
Last year, interesting, in the Western country and Chinese government, you have a different way to call it electric vehicles. The Chinese way actually is much more narrow. because the Chinese way, you don't calculate a lot of a hybrid into an electric vehicle.
Right.
And then in the, I would call in the narrow definition, China sold about 780,000 electric vehicles last year. Yeah. And this year, after a few reduction, the prediction still would be 1.2, 1.3 million.
1.3 million, and this is in a market that's 20 million.
Oh, the whole passenger car is about, last year was 27 million. This year we expect about 26 million. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge room for the electric vehicle growing in the passenger car.
And the difference is that the overall passenger car market is flat and declining at the moment, where you're projecting.
This year, in the passenger car, I think it would be the second year in the last 25 years continue going down for passenger car, mainly from the ICE, the engine cars. The electric vehicle still growing quite quickly. Yet today, the number about 30%. But people are quite disappointed because everyone expecting us growth 100%. 100%. But looking in the Chinese industry, how many of them can do the 30% growth so far this year? So we still think this is a fast-growing industry, probably not as fast as what we think.
We've got just a few seconds. You mentioned that you're going to be back in Guangzhou in a couple of weeks to make an interesting announcement here. Do you want to say anything about that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Clayton, for reminding me. On November 22nd, in Guangzhou Auto Show, we're going to announce our second model in the market, EX6. It is going to be a very exciting car and bigger and smarter. Yeah. And obviously, it's driving better. Again, it's a pure electric. We don't do any engine. Because imagine the 5G cannot run on an engine car. 5G only running on the pure electric.
The pure electric car. Very exciting. Well, we look forward to that rollout and other things that you will accomplish yet to come. Freeman, Shen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Craig.
For joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.